In this video, we're going to build something inside Teachable using the Liquid templating language. We're going to just build a nice simple table that shows all of your courses that are available in your school and some other information. We'll see what we can get. So let's bash on. And you'll notice I'm rocking a new hairstyle or lack of hairstyle. All right, we are over here in our school and we are looking at the custom pages. We're just over here in pages, so we're over in dashboard down to site, over to pages, and we're just going to create a new page. Now I have access to the 1.0 editor as well as a 2.0 editor. So when I click on add new page, I'm going to get the option to do 1.0 or 2.0. Now you probably won't have this if you are a newer school. Otherwise, it doesn't really matter. Liquid works in both services or both pages. But we're going to use V2 simply because that's the one that's getting updates. That's the one that's currently being supported, where 1.0 is not supported anymore in Teachable. So over here in the page block, we're just going to add a new block and we're going to add a custom HTML block. Now, again, I've said this in many of the videos, particularly the shorts I've been putting out. If you don't have access to the custom HTML block that you see here, you need to open up a support ticket with Teachable and just ask them. Either a support ticket or web chat and just say, can you activate the custom HTML block inside my editor? Thank you very much. And then it should literally take them 2 minutes to do it. If you're on chat, it'll take them a day or two to get back to you, depending on how busy they are, if you open up a support ticket. But they should be pretty quick. So once we click on custom HTML and click on add, we are brought with the HTML code over here. So I'm going to just pull this over a little bit to the right. And we can write in the left hand side here and we can see the result in the right hand side. Now Liquid sometimes doesn't render over here in the right hand side. I will just have to check and see. But one other thing as well is sometimes you have to publish the page and then go have a look at the page and see the changes that are being applied on the actual live page rather than in the editor over here. We'll see how it works. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So we'll start off with a style. We'll start off with a style block, and we'll just say we'll call it section, and we'll just give this a height of we'll say minimum height. Now this isn't Liquid. This is CSS, but we need to get something started so we can see something, right? Background of red, we'll change that color later on, and then down here we'll do a div of the class ph section, and that should give us a block of red. We have to do of 100%. And as you notice here, this is a new thing. This never used to be a problem. I'm actually going to have a little chat with my contact at Teachable and let them know that this is a problem, because this never used to be a problem. Is when you generate the HTML on the left hand side, it should automatically update here, and it's not. If I was to publish this, and let's just give a title of, or a page title of Liquid example, and we'll actually publish that page. And if we go over here to /p/liquid example, you'll see that that's given us that red block that we're talking about in here, over here. Now, if I was to close all these other tabs down because we don't need them, if we're over here and I refresh this page, it's going to reset everything as far as the left-hand side here, but it should give us that block that we're working with. And sometimes now, because we've made that change, if I was to change this here to blue, let's say blue, you'll see that it starts to update. So things start to work once you've saved the page and then refreshed it. That shouldn't do that. It should work from the start. So anyway, this is fine for where we are now. One thing I do want to do is, if you notice when I'm clicking on, if I click on the right hand side here, it zips to the, it zips to the end. We can do that by doing a command and comma, and we can turn off the soft wrap to free. In fact, I wonder if I can increase the font here so people can see better. Yeah, there we go. So we can actually change the font size to 18, and that will make it a little bit easier to see what I'm typing over here, and things should wrap down automatically. So inside here, if we were to just do some liquid code, so liquid is either double curly braces or a curly brace percent curly brace. We're going to use this here and we're going to just say current underscore school name. And that should give us, although we can't see it because of the blue background, let's just do this here and change the blue 88. There you go. It gives us a bit of a background color. And I'm probably going to make this a little bit nicer. And but this is not an HTML CSS lesson. This is ph-section h2, and we'll just say that this is font size 30 pixels. Let's just say 42 pixels, and we'll put this here inside of an h2. All right, we'll do that h2. So now you can see that we've got the current school name, which is Liquid, coming up as Purple Hippo Teachable Academy, which is the name of my school, which makes sense. So that's kind of how Liquid works, generally speaking. Just straight out of the box, it can do these things. Depending on where you are within inside your school, can determine what you have available inside these courses. For example, if I was on this page live and I was not logged in, I couldn't use my, I think it's current user name. Now you can see there, it's giving me the current username. There we go, Tom Lorimer. We can actually put just a BR here just to give it a line break. There we go. But if I was not logged in, then that wouldn't work, right? Because it doesn't know who I am, and it would just be an empty blank space there. We can also get the email, user.email, same thing. And you'll see that my email address is right there. I'm going to change this. This is a terrible color. So this used to be a Tweety mug. It used to have a picture of Tweety on it from the Warner Brothers store. I believe it was in Miami many years ago. But it's been washed so many times that it's just now a plain mug. But I do have the Tweety that was on the mug right there. So this Tweety picture used to be on the mug, and I got the tattoo artist to copy it onto my arm. Again, many years ago, and not something you really need to know, but there we go. A little bit of information about what I did to impress a girl. Anyway, back to the liquid code here. We are going to give this a better color, and I am going to look at some colors and figure out, I mean, I know one that I use quite a lot. It's bad, but it's actually 5.5, so BADA 5.5, and but it gives us a nice color background, and we're going to just give this a padding of 60 pixels all the way around, which will pull it in a little bit like that. So there we go. That's a simple semi-ugly design, which is why I'm not typically a designer. I'm a developer. We can also say something like color white, make that white. There we go. And if we duplicate that a couple of times and just make that H, make that a P, and make the P, instead of being 42 pixels, we'll make it 24 pixels. And we'll put this inside of a P. And there you go. And we will make that, let's see, we'll make that, I don't know, we can use just regular colors, purple, instead of hex colors. So these are hex colors up here. These are just HTML colors. Okay, so that gives us access to some of the liquid variables that we have. There's a bunch of them that are available on Teachable's documentation on the support pages, supportteachable.com, and if you search for liquid, you'll see the custom code here. This is not the best documentation. It's missing some key information that I've mentioned to Teachable several times. For example, if we go over to coupons here, we have this formatted discount, formatted price, calculated discount. All these are variables that you could use in Teachable, but we don't know what the container is. We don't know how to access currency from inside this, because how do we get the coupon? Another way to look at this is the course. The course, there's how do you get the course information? You need to have a container that has a selection that has this information inside of it, and they don't give you that information here on this page. So it's very frustrating. We can actually refresh, or we can actually publish this page again, and then we can go back over here and we can see that on the actual live page we have the information that we created with the liquid, and we are good to go from there. So what we can then do is we can use a for loop. So if we were to, actually we'll leave that and we'll do this for courses in current school course. Actually, it's courses here, but up here we want to just use course like that. And then here we can do a liquid for course name. Now this should loop through all of our courses and give us a list of everything. Oh, there's a mistake there. That's why it's looking weird. And we'll actually want to put this into a p tag so that it will jump down to the next line for each individual course that we have. And you can see I've got some weird course names, ASDF, and to be honest, this is all of the courses, even the ones that I have deleted. So you'll notice that the courses that we've got listed here over here on the right hand side has courses that I've actually deleted. And in fact, it actually says down here, deleted course 39638. In order to make sure that we don't have these courses here as well, there's a feature over here in Teachable documentation, which they updated after I mentioned that it wasn't there. We can actually say is listed or is published. So if we use published, course is published, we can do a little check over here in the loop before we print out the name of the course. If we do an if statement that says if course is published, and we can say is it true, and then close all of that, it gives us an end if there. But if we grab that and move it up inside, it should then only show published courses. Now, again, the problem here is it's not only just showing published courses, but it's showing deleted courses that were published when they were deleted, which is not good either. So the problem with this way of doing things is the courses that are being shown here appear to be courses that I have deleted while they were published. So there's a workaround that we can use for this, and instead of just having courses here, so instead of looking at current school dot courses, we're going to look at current school publicly underscore viewable underscore courses. And that's going to only show courses that I actually have published on my page. The one other check that we can do here is an and for courses, or course dot is listed. So if the course is listed with that little toggle that you have to say that it should show on the products page or not, you can add that check here. All these 5 that I have are on the products page, or they should be on the products page. And that's why we're able to see them. And there's actually no difference if I take that check out here or not. In fact, we have to just say it goes true here. We can just double check that. If we say false, you'll see that everything disappears, because that check that is listed as false would mean that don't show anything, essentially. So we want to just make that true again. So that's given us just the course name, and it's looping through every one of the courses that we have, publicly viewable, which is published, and which is listed, and it's given us the course name. Now we can also give it here a P, and we can say course.id, and that will give us the ID of the course, which may be useful or may not be useful, but that gives us the ID of the course. If you were going to be using something like Zapier and you needed to identify the course by the ID, you could use this as a way to sort of give us a table. Now, maybe we should make it a bit of a table. We could do some HTML table. Again, so we don't want to be getting into HTML here, but let's make this a table and we'll see if we can figure this out together because it's been a long time since I did tables. So we need the T body. I'm not going to worry about headers or whatever, and we need a TR for the row and a TD, which is the individual cells, if I remember, and we'll call this ID. And we'll call this one, I may have got this backwards, course name. And why is it not letting me do this? And we'll do TR here. And we'll say, oh, you know what we need to do? Again, let me just finish this and I'll show you what I've done wrong. TD, and we're going to say course.id, and then we're going to say TD, and we're going to say course.name. And we're going to get rid of this at the bottom here because we don't need it anymore. So now you'll see that we've got this inside of a table, but it's printed out the ID and the course name within the loop. In fact, we're actually creating a whole new table for every single time we're making a loop through the courses. So in order to do that, we need to remove this part here up to the TR, take that out and put it before the for loop. Let's just move this in so we can kind of see what's happening. And then similarly, we're going to take the TR to the end of the table. I'm going to move it outside of the for loop. I broke it there, and we'll just bring this back here. Tight up a little bit if we can. So that should now give us a better looking table that actually should work properly. Now I think I've done the table wrong. Is it TR-TD or TD-TR? I'm sure it's TR because this is the row and then this is that part. And then we're looping through this here to give us the for, and we're getting that. So why is it doing it wrong? Oh, the TR, there we go. So every time we loop through, we need to make a new row. So the TR needs to be inside of the actual loop that we have there, as you can see. So now it's hard to see there, so let's just give it some styling. PH section. Again, we don't really need to use PH section. It's just I'm scoping it down to this page only. In fact, this section only is what I'm doing here. And we want to make table, and we want to make a TR, and we're going to say border 1px solid black. In fact, we probably could do it with TD, TR, and then TD at the same time, and it should give us around everything. There we go. We're also going to say padding of 5 pixels, and we'll say PH section table, and we'll just say that the width of this is 100%. That should bring it right across to the whole part. And there we go. So I mean, there's a lot of things that we can do here. Margin top, just to give it a bit of breathing space at the top of the page there. So there we go. And in fact, we can probably do, if we do TR, I know there's better ways to do this, equals header, and we'll just say this here, PH section table, and we can just say header, and we'll just say font weight of 700, which should make it bold. So that should make the header bold, and we can even say background black color, and we'll use that bad A55 color to make it like that. So that just gives us a simple table that we've done really quickly in CSS and HTML, but we're using Liquid to loop through all of the courses that we have that are publicly viewable, and they're published and they're listed. And is there anything else that we can do here? I think we can probably, I don't know, is there anything else that we can do here? What else can we get from Liquid over here under the courses? So courses, we can see the URL. Maybe we can see what that is. Page title, we can have a look at the page title. Meta description, friendly URL. Friendly URL might be worth looking at. Let's have a look at friendly URL. So if we just take a TD and we'll just add a TD here, and inside here we'll say course friendly underscore URL, and we'll do that, but we'll also have to give it a head, and TD is friendly URL, like that. So that gives us a friendly URL. Now that friendly URL is just the end part of the URL. If we wanted to get the full URL, we could actually have a look here and see what we can use. Is there actually an image URL, hero image URL, save image URL, path. So we can use the URL and we can use the path. So course URL and course path should give us everything that we need in order to build a link. Let's just double check and see what that is actually giving us. So it said course URL. What is that giving us? So the course URL up here is giving us the actual URL of the course. And can we see what course path is? Course path. Right, so we can build the full URL using the friendly URL. If we do this, we can use the current school.url, which you can see is giving us, in fact, let's move this out of the loop and we'll just stick it above the table. So we can get the current school URL like that. We can then put a P, and then we can do the course friendly URL. Now this isn't going to work because we're not inside the loop in order to get the friendly URL. But this is the principle that we're going to use here. So if we copy that here, remember we're using the P because we need the page for the landing page. So if we copy that here and put this down inside and replace it with the course URL, where it should give us teachable purplehippo.io/p/hero header 1-2. Can get rid of that one there. So that should give us the friendly URL. So then instead of being the friendly URL, this is actually the course link. Now it's not a link yet because it's just a text. But if we do ahref equals and then do that, and then do that, and then grab this again, and then put it in there, and that should now, if we publish that and then refresh the page over here, we then should see that these are now links to the courses, and they are all working. Yep. And that's a very simple way of getting information from Liquid in order to be practical for something like a table that gives you your course name, course ID, course link. There's a bunch of other stuff we could do, but for the purposes of this short video, just to give you an introduction into how Liquid can work on Teachable, hopefully that's given you sort of a taster. If you want more information, you know where I am. Leave a comment below and let me know what you want to do, and maybe we can look into it in a future video. So thanks for watching. Take care. Goodbye, guys.